Hello fellow camera nerds, today we are doing yet another camera test and today we have the benchmark, the ARRI Alexa Mini, and we pitted it against some very interesting cameras and not least the PYXIS 12K, and we also have its little brother, the PYXIS 6K. We have the Canon R3, we have the Canon R5 Mark II, we have the C300 Mark III, we have the Sony FX6, we have the Sony A7 IV, and we also have the Panasonic S1H thrown in for good measure. Now, if you like these kinds of tests, please guys help me out and subscribe to the channel so I can get the attention of the Scandinavian distributors for these different brands, and hopefully I can borrow even more cameras, do even more in-depth testing. Also, if you find this video helpful, please do give it a like, it really helps out the channel. And I want to say that the test we did we had all the cameras that were able to shoot in RAW were shot in RAW, and there were two that we could not shoot in RAW were the ARRI Alexa because we did not have the RAW licenses, but I've shot numerous commercials, TV shows with that camera, and all were shot in ProRes, so I think that's all good. That's mostly how that camera is used. And the Sony A7 IV, of course, does not give us the option to shoot in RAW. But with that being said, here's the test. Enjoy. So we start things off with one of the cameras that for many years was considered the gold standard of digital film cameras, and that is the Alexa Mini, or the Mini LF, which shares the same sensor, only two of them stitched together to make a large format image. And the skin tones, the organic feel of the image, the filmic quality really makes this the favorite of so many DPs. But now there's a new sheriff in town, and that is the Blackmagic PYXIS 12K, or if you will, the Ursa Cine 12K sensor. We got a completely different type of sensor. It is an RGBW sensor that is a departure from the classic Bayer pattern, and I think we have an organic looking image. The colors are just fantastic, straight out of the camera, and we just got so much detail in this image without looking digitally sharp. But I think this is probably even more interesting, just considering the price point and that we've seen this sensor used in so many other cameras from different brands, and this just is a testament to how good the Blackmagic imaging pipeline is, because this, if you were to shuffle it with the 12K, I'm not entirely sure that I would be able to pick out the 12K if I'm not allowed to pixel peep. And speaking of the Sony IMX410 sensor, here we see it in the Panasonic S1H, and I think this is still the best image you will get in the entire Panasonic lineup, and a lot of YouTubers tend to agree. And that is thanks to it not having dual pixel autofocus and that it has an optical low pass filter. My skin tones may be just a tiny bit on the pink side, but that is easily fixed when we shoot in RAW. And another Sony sensor that really shines when you shoot in RAW is the FX3, FX6 and Sony A7 IV sensor. We saw just how good that sensor can look if we take a look at the movie The Creator, famously shot on the FX3, and I think that this image is really good. Now, not to be outshined by its little brother, in the previous test we did, we all thought, and that is coming from two owners of the A7 IV, that it just had a bit of a digital look to it, but with this, the Canon EF 51.2, I think that we took some of that out, and now we have a really nice looking image from the A7 IV. And for the last part of our journey together, we go into Canon land, and we start off with the Canon R3. Now this is interpreted in the RAW tab in DaVinci Resolve as C-Log
II, but this does not have a native C-Log2 imaging pipeline. This sensor can also be found in the Canon R8, and if you would believe the rumors, a version of it in the Canon C80 as well, but there we have a full C-Log2 imaging pipeline, as we do in the Canon R5 Mark II. And again, I think we have a nice, dependable Canon image coming straight out of the camera. Colors are looking good, skin tones are looking good, as is famous for Canon, but I do think that if you look at CineD's dynamic range test, you would think that these two cameras are very far apart, but in reality, I've not seen that that is the case. This camera, however, the Canon C300 Mark III and the Canon C7 IV, these are outliers in that this is the image that is closest to the Alexa Mini in this test and all the other tests I've done. And that is, of course, thanks to the GGO sensor. Now we will move on to some side-by-side. I've only adjusted the cameras for contrast and a bit of exposure so that they are looking more of the same, but no big sort of color grades were done to these cameras, and I will now shut up and let you enjoy these side-by-sides, and I will get back with my final thoughts in the end of this video. It's me again, just some editor's notes here, because I know that this will come up in the comments, so I will address this beforehand, and that is that, of course, we would have liked to shoot this outside in some high dynamic range scene, do some low light testing, but since we did these tests in November in Sweden, it was all gray all the time, and we had rain for about 2 weeks, so those kinds of tests were not possible to do with the limited amount of time we had with all these cameras. But leave your comments down below which cameras you would like to see in that type of test.
Alright you guys, that is it for the test. What are your conclusions? Which camera fared the best? Which fared the worst? What are there, like, were you surprised by the footage? Did we leave something out? What could we do better? Leave your comments in the comment section down below. I try to answer every comment if I'm able to, and yeah, I think for me the big equalizer of doing this test was shooting in RAW. All the cameras looked really good, and I think it now comes down more to workflow, lens choice, stuff like that, lighting, than the camera sensor itself giving you the ability to have a cinematic image. But that is it for the test. I will see you guys in the next one. Hej då!